Breaking news at this hour, flights operated by the British travel operator Thomas Cook have been cancelled, leaving hundreds of thousands of tourists around the world scrambling to find a way home. Last-minute negotiations to keep the financially strapped company afloat failed, forcing its collapse. Cherise Pham is in Hong Kong. She joins us now with more. This is a historic 178-year-old company, I think, and it's now gone under.
That's right. Thomas Cook has filed for bankruptcy protection. The steps are going to be taking place. They, of course, wanted to do this on Sunday night UK time so they could avoid the calamity that could hit the stock markets on Monday morning. So this will be triggering an effect whereby they'll be applying to go through the steps, to go through bankruptcy. But the biggest thing you're saying and pointing out there is that this is a huge deal for any tourist out there who has booked their vacation or their flight through Thomas Cook. This is leaving potentially 160,000 British nationals stranded overseas, and it will likely trigger the largest ever peacetime repatriation of British nationals.
And how are they going to get them? I understand that the Civil Aviation Authority is stepping in, and they're basically going to go get these people.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The CAAC has said that they already have a few plans in place. The British government has confirmed to CNN that some aircraft are already being flown to holiday destinations as part of this operation, so British tourists can be brought back home starting from Monday. So that'll be tomorrow UK time, already Monday here in Hong Kong as well. We'll be also watching the stock markets because China Fosun International Group, a major conglomerate in China, is the largest stakeholder in Thomas Cook, and they have already started trading, and they are trading slightly down on the open, Michael.
Yeah, because I guess a lot of people thought this was coming. I mean, they've been teetering for a while. What triggered it falling over? I mean, I think they asked for a government bailout. The government said, no, we're not going to do that. What was the cause?
What triggered it was that lenders were asking Thomas Cook to pretty much come up with £200 million now to service their debt. That's about $250 million. And Thomas Cook applied to the government for some relief, basically saying, look, can you help us out? Can you maybe give us £200 million so we can sort of take care of this creditor problem on our back right away? Of course, this is a very small number compared to the larger debt problem that Thomas Cook has on its books. Clearly, those talks collapsed overnight, and that's why we have this bankruptcy filing happening now. But what's interesting, Michael, too, is that this repatriation operation that's going to be deployed, which is called Operation Matterhorn, that will cost much more than the £200 million that Thomas Cook needed to stay afloat. That operation is estimated to come in at $750 million.
We want to get to some breaking news now in this whistleblower complaint against President Trump. The Wall Street Journal now reporting President Trump repeatedly pressured the president of Ukraine to investigate the son of Democratic presidential candidate and former Vice President Joe Biden. CNN's chief legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin joins us on the phone. So, Jeff, I just want to point out for people, too, what's in this piece. And again, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Murdoch outlet, right? This is not from the Washington Post, which the president loves to rail against. So they are reporting that on that call with Zelensky, who was then president-elect, that President Trump about 8 times urged him to work with Giuliani on a probe. Now, it's important to point out here, too, they say that there was not a mention of a provision of foreign aid on that call to Ukraine. This is fascinating, though, especially based on what we heard from the president today when he was asked directly this morning if he had asked the Ukrainian leader to investigate Mr. Biden. The president said, quote, "It doesn't matter what I discussed." Does it matter if he discussed perhaps as many as 8 times urging him to work with Giuliani on a probe?
Well, I think it depends on whether the House of Representatives thinks it's matter. Certainly there will be people. There will be many Democrats who believe that if this story turns out to be true, and presumably a tape of this phone call exists, but if this is true, there will be people who will assert this was a classic abuse of power, that the President of the United States is not supposed to use the foreign policy of the United States to advance his electoral prospects. Is supposed to be using the power of the presidency to advance the nation's prospects. And if he was using American foreign policy for the sole benefit of his campaign, there will be certainly people who will claim that's an abuse of power. Is it a crime? I don't know. It's hard for me to conceive of how that could be a criminal offense, but it might be an impeachable offense.